I know you've done a couple of products on this, haven't you? That we going out. You're going to do a War Room today or tomorrow?
I think today.
Today.
I think so.
So they'll go out ASAP. It's just the Conor effect is still about, innit? Like the interest is still there. Like people are talking about it that don't normally talk to me about it, and he just is. He's done something that no one else has really managed to do. So it brings a level of interest, and so he's good for the sport, isn't he? I know he's got some things to sort out, and I think I can't quite work out whether he will have sorted it out or not. So he's completed the game. Money's completed the game, right? So 90% of the people in this sport are trying to live, and they're going to fight to earn money to live. He's done it. He's got more money than he could probably spend ever. So does that send him all the way around the circle? And now he's fighting for the art of fighting, and he wants to be the best at that. If that's where he's at, then that loss to Dustin would have done nothing but stoke the fire, and he would have gone in and he would have been with John and his coaches, and he would have picked that apart frame by frame, and they will have modified, or at least attempted to modify, how he performs, and also his mindset going into it. If that's the case, I don't know, and we'd never know. But he started out poor and hungry, and he got well fed and rich. And I just wonder whether now he's ticked that box, whether he goes back to his I want to be the best martial artist I can be, because he's in there. We see that in there, right? I don't think he could have done the thing that everyone loved about him, which is not quite the case anymore, but that's something to do with the level that he's fighting at. Is he talked a mad load of shit, and he went in and he won. Every time he talked shit, he went in and won. And you can have if you're going to do one, you sure as hell better do the other. Otherwise, you burn out. You don't make the money, do you?
Yeah.
So it'll just be. He fascinates me on that level. I think it's cool what he's done with the money, and he's completed that sort of section of life and stuff. But him as an athlete and a martial artist and a competitor it's fascinating.
Yeah. I wonder whether. Obviously, he wants to be in there because he wants to be the best, because he's got everything else he needs. So why else would he be there competing? Like, he's only going to lose face if he keeps getting beaten.
Yeah.
So he's taking a risk by being in there. If he'd have stopped after the second Nate Diaz fight, his brand would be strong, and he would be able to apply that brand to loads of other things and make them successful. Yeah. Obviously he's got the safety net of not having to worry about that anymore. But of course, he's a businessman, so he wants his name to be valuable forever. So there's a risk in doing what he's doing right now, and I think that's a motivating factor. And I think if you look at the first Nate Diaz fight, he came in overconfident, tried to knock him out in the first round. It didn't work out, and he paid for it. He came in the second one, and he was lightning in that first round. He was focused, he was sharp. It was. He's still finite in his conditioning though.
Yeah.
Like he was still doing laps of the cage, looking at the clock at the end of the second round. Beginning like third, fourth. He did rally a bit towards the end, but he had rough late rounds, and I think to me that's probably the best version that we're going to see of him. I don't know how he improves on that really as far as an athlete, because I think he's built that way. I think he's built with, sort of 10 or 15 kill shots, and he can spend most of them punching over people's heads if he's not careful. And
I've thought about it, like, he can access the best physiologists in the world. He can access the best sports scientists. I'm sure he has. They have the PI won't be too far away from that anyway, which is free to him. On top of that, he can pretty much buy the PI if he wanted to, and just focus on him.
Absolutely buy the PI.
So, is it one of those cases where that is him? It's not like he doesn't train. It's not like he wouldn't. If you told him this is what you need to do to improve your cardio, he wouldn't do it. He would do it.
But if you went back to him when he was in Crumlin at the boxing gym, before anybody knew who he was, before he got that photo with Chuck Liddell as he was walking out at the UFC, that Conor McGregor was motivated by a multitude of things. The main one was to get out of the situation that he was in, was to have better things, to have more money. In the process of chasing after that, of course, there was the journey of being the best martial artist is there as well, is present. But how present is it now and how present was it then? And if it was 20% of his motivation then, is that all he's got left now?
Yeah.
Because that, although the motivation to be there might be there, his drive every day to get out of bed and push himself like it was then when he was chasing the money and the comfort and the security, that's a different thing.
And
You're
is
like
it,
a feral
an
cat back
illusion?
then.
Is it an illusion? Do you know what I mean? Like he's got it, but then when he's got someone's shin on his throat and he's deep in the 5th round and he's fighting for his life, and he's like, I don't need this fucking shit. I want my boat. I'm going back to my boat. Like, I'm not saying that's the case at all, but that's a possibility. That's a psychological possibility. Do you know what I mean? It just depends. It depends what his root is. What's encoded on his DNA, what mindset is encoded on there. Because that's the thing about this sport. All the money in the world is, once you're inside, you're still inside. There's only 2 of you, and someone paid to try and keep you safe.
Yeah. He's got to chase something. He's got to be chasing something.
Yeah.
And whatever he chooses to chase, whatever it is that he's chasing, it has to be worth it enough to drive him every day, like it used to when he was chasing money and security.
Yeah.
And
you just don't
fame.
know what his training looks like. Do you know what I mean? Like,
No.
we know social media is a lie. You just you don't know, do you? No. You sort of see him with his rig out, and he looks in shape, but he always looks in shape. And looking lean doesn't necessarily mean that just means you're calorie balanced. It doesn't necessarily mean that your cardiovascular system is in good nick or bad nick or whatever. Like it's not. It's a minor insight, but it doesn't tell you all.
I'd love to know what his technical training looks like.
Yeah,
because I would imagine that loss it's fiercely motivated him. I still don't think that fiercely motivated with 100 and something million in the bank is the same fiercely motivated as it was in Crumlin boxing gym when he had nothing.
Before that calf shuts down, he's doing all right.
Oh yeah,
he's doing all right.
Yeah,
he's landing, and mate, Dustin takes a couple of licks off him, and fair play, he just walked through him, didn't he?
He took 7 of 8 kicks in the first fight, and he took 18 of 21 in the second fight.
Wow.
You know what's really interesting though is Dustin's success rate in both fights is 52%. I'm looking at it on there, it's on UFC stats. Yeah, there were a few things that surprised me about the stats and about the comparisons between the last fight and this most recent one.
You know what I liked about I watched it yesterday. It was on in the gym in the reception yesterday when we were watching it, and Dustin absolutely to the second recognised when that calf shut down. He was playing for it, and he went, ha, got you. And he just unloaded and he finished it. Finished it in what? 20 seconds after he'd recognised that the calf was done.
Not long at all. I mean, I'll talk about it more in the War Room, and I've done obviously the BT show and stuff, but there were a couple of things that were going on. So McGregor came out with one single game plan, which was to counter Dustin's jab with his left hand, which was pretty much exactly what he did in the first fight. Now, there was a shot that landed in the first fight that most people won't have recognised as a shot that hurt Dustin.
Right.
But I've got a camera angle. I've got a camera 7 from above, and you can see the shot, and you can see his legs go, and he kind of jogs back around the fence, and he takes another shot. And then McGregor starts to slip into that finishing mode where he finds the next left hand. But Dustin was already on the way out there. He was already concussed from that first shot. Up until that point, though, Dustin was doing a good job moving laterally. He was doing a good job chopping into his legs. But in the second fight, because McGregor came out with one single game plan, Poirier only had to focus on staying away from his left hand. And then when McGregor's left hand starts to fall short, he then starts to spring into that lead right uppercut. And that's when Poirier started to counter him with his hands. Up to that point, he was just chopping into the leg.
Yeah.
But the point where Dustin backs up and points at him, what's happened is McGregor's thrown his left hand, switched to the right uppercut, and Dustin's thrown a right hook at the same time. And he's hit him on the chin and knocked him off balance, so he has to replant that leg that's already damaged. And you see his knee buckle.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Dustin takes the outside track, and he's like...
Got you.
Yeah. It was a really good performance from Dustin, and I think there's a value in him now not loving it anymore, because he doesn't love fighting anymore. He's said that a few times. I think the fact that he gets in there just to win and do his job is more than enough to keep him even keeled against McGregor.
He's so much better. That Dustin's so much better than the angry, frustrated, raging Dustin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like miles better.
And we know he's got 5-round conditioning. That's
Yeah.
not a question. He threw 115 punches against Max Holloway in the first round.
Yeah.
Landed 54 of them.
Yeah.
It's just crazy numbers, and that's Max Holloway who sets the pace at these fights. You know, you then watch what happened after Max Holloway lost to Dustin, and then went on to fight Calvin Kattar, and just completely changed the game when it comes to striking. That was a standout performance from Max Holloway.
Yeah.
And that was a result of what he experienced against Poirier.
He's like he's a bit of the people's champ now, Poirier, and he like everyone sort of loves him. He's hard not to love. Like Conor sort of wants to be the people's champ, but Dustin is without even trying. He's just like you know, he just seems like a solid dude, doesn't he? And he loves his family, he loves being at home, he loves his state or whatever. It's just like
got his charity work he does, and that didn't help either. McGregor saying he was going to donate, and that being a whole public thing, and then the money never going. And I don't know the details of it.
I wonder where that's at now.
Yeah, I mean, I know McGregor they'd asked for a plan for it because obviously it was
just going to disappear. Yeah.
But
like, so Dustin obviously had like quite a clear plan like of what he was going to do. How does he approach this now? Like, if he comes in thinking I'm going to do the same thing, he must be also thinking, well, surely Conor's going to adapt his game. Like, he's seen the damage that was caused. He's not going to come in and try and do the same thing, is he? So, like, I just don't know what. It's almost more difficult for Dustin than it is for Conor, because he can't just put the same thing out there. He's going to have to have at least a couple of like different variations of that plan to bring to the table.
Well, if I try and figure out the predictabilities of McGregor, because he lost predominantly by low kicks in that fight, he's going to want to turn that around on Poirier, because he's going to expect Poirier to bring that same game plan. So if McGregor's coming in, he's going to have one of two things. It's either going to be a counter to the calf kick, which could be any number of things. Probably the most likely is going to be the hop side kick, because I think he'll stand in a stance which doesn't offer the calf as much. Because if he stands slightly more side on, it turns that tibial nerve around to the front side of the calf, which makes it awkward to kick. And then anytime Dustin steps, he's got that hop side kick to the midsection or to the lead leg.
Because although the muscle damage is difficult to deal with, the nerve damage is what is switching it off.
Yeah, that's the thing that's immediate. The muscle damage is only as dangerous as above the knee. Yeah, and that's I mean it's not nice.
It's probably less conditioned in it as the IT band, but it's not the same as that switch off.
It's not the same.
As a
I
nerve
mean, that's
switch
just one clean shot. Just one clean shot will do it. And it doesn't last throughout the fight, but the swelling does and the bruising does. So I think McGregor's going to have one or two things. It's either a counter or he's going to come in with his own calf kick game plan, like he did against Nate. Battered his lead leg and started setting him up for the left hand. And then after that, I mean, the thing that I think Poirier does really well, which I think could be problematic for McGregor, is that Ketchel shift that he does. Because he's a natural southpaw, McGregor's a natural southpaw, but the difference between the two is that McGregor, when he's moving back, stays in a southpaw stance. Whereas Poirier is quite happy to step forward into orthodox and then into southpaw and then into orthodox, and then you're up against the fence, and then he's broadside, so you get the full arsenal of cannons because he's kind of shadowing you up against the fence like a netminder. You know what I mean? And he just keeps you there, and every angle that you go is a power shot because he's loading and stepping into it like he's throwing medicine balls. Like that's the challenge for McGregor, is to stay off the fence, especially when he gets tired. And the game plan for Poirier is quite simple. Spend the first round and a half doing whatever you can to stay away from his left hand and making him tired. And that
make him throw it.
Literally make him throw it. Make him like walk, laterally move, stay defensive, but allow him to throw his hands if he wants to, because there's going to be a limit to how many times he can do it before he's gassed. Wrestle him if you can, clinch him if you can, beat up his legs, attack his body. And just generally be difficult for the first sort of 8 minutes. Yeah,
it's quite balancing that clinch up against the fence. Like they both had their way a little bit, but it's probably irrelevant. Is probably playing into Dustin's hands anyway, because at least he's expending energy, even if it comes out neutral and a couple of scores for each. But that's now in Conor. Do you know what I mean? That power bar is now 80%.
But Poirier can get tired. And he does get tired, and he works through being tired. And sometimes he has a really horrible first to second round, but he still works his way through it and gets the victory. I think he's got more staying power, I think he's more consistent, and I think his volume and his conditioning carries him through. And we were just chatting about it before we started recording. I think if they fought 10 times, Dustin probably wins 6 or 7.
Right.
I think it's competitive, but I think Dustin wins 6 or 7. But I still think McGregor's going to win this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I think that. And usually my logical head's going, well, no, 60, 70% is good stats. I think Poirier is going to get him tired and wear him down and beat him up against the fence and either stop him or choke him, like get McGregor to level change into a DARS because he doesn't want to get knocked out again. And I can quite easily see him wrapping up that DARS choke from a sprawl and choking McGregor, especially when his heart's already beaten and he's tired. But there's something that maybe I'm just buying into the McGregor hype, but I don't normally. Yeah. And I've just got a feeling this time around, especially because I know he's the faster fighter, and I know he's the harder hitter, and I know he's a more technical fighter as well when it comes to the striking range. Like Poirier makes all kinds of mistakes, but he gets away with it because he's tough and he's durable and he closes range down and he throws volume. Like when he was backing Gaethje up against the fence, he hit him with a knee, and then I think it was a knee and then an elbow, and then he went 1, 2, punch, 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 and then just to keep him moving back.
Yeah,
like McGregor can't do that. It's and the other thing that we saw with Poirier in the second fight is that once McGregor had thrown 2 or 3 punches, Poirier would just chase him back into the center because McGregor's shots don't extend 4 or 5 punches into combinations. So once you've seen the first, second, and third come out, you know he's going to stop to take a break.
Yeah.
So you just rush him. That's what he was doing.
Right.
Step through, catch him, shift.
I haven't even sort of thought about him getting subbed. I know obviously he got subbed by Diaz, but just in this fight, I hadn't even thought about that as a possible outcome. But yeah,
I could see Poirier dancing him.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a turn up, that, wouldn't it? Yeah, right.
But as I said, I think McGregor's going to win. And I don't exactly know why.
Yeah.
I think he's got 7 minutes to make a left hand stick. And I think he comes in with... I think he lost the last fight because he wasn't very smart. And I don't think he makes that same mistake twice. I think he did that against Nate.
Yeah. Because I don't feel him or his camp are not smart, do you? No. Do you know what I mean? Like they've got brain space at their disposal, and they're not going to ignore some problems in that fight.
And he's going to be fit for at least a round and a bit.
Yeah. It'd be interesting talking to like a world-renowned physiologist about, is it possible to get someone that is as twitching, as elastic as him to be able to compete for 25 minutes? I don't know. It's above my
I think even his feints must be physically taxing.
But I suppose they have to be right
loud cars
to
that
be
make
like
loads of noise when people rev them at the traffic lights. I think it's kind of like that. You know what I mean?
It's just... But that's what you want, right? You want it to be as close as the punch as it can be without throwing the punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to knock somebody out with the first punch that you throw, but you've also got to bear in mind that you might throw 50 punches and the person might still be there. So then you've got to decide when you're going to throw those punches and how you're going to apply them. And when he's applying them behind an arsenal of spinning kicks and good feints, he usually lands it.
Yeah.
But when he comes out and he just stands heavy on that lead leg, like throw your jab and let me knock you out quick, that's when it starts to fall on its ass. And I don't think he's stupid enough to do that twice. There was loads of people talking about after the last fight about he's abandoned all of his kicking game and he's just a boxer now. And I'm like, just because they were the tools that he took to the fight, it doesn't mean that he's forgotten everything else that he's done. He's not that guy.
Yeah,
like all of those techniques that we've ever seen him throw in his game, he's got all of those in his arsenal. Even that lovely, guard pass that he used against Dennis Seaweed to take him out. That's all still there in his arsenal. He got taken down super fast against Dustin Poirier, 30 seconds in, and he fought Khabib's first takedown for 45 seconds. Poirier took him down straight away. Doesn't mean he's not getting any takedown offense anymore. Yeah, just means Poirier caught him by surprise. It shows you how single-minded he was. I'm going to knock him out with this left hand because he's going to throw his jab and he can't take my punch. Was his only game plan coming in?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's good for the story and it's good for the sport for him to win because it keeps him. I mean, it's hard to say Conor's ever not relevant. You know what I mean? Because he can sort of ask his he sort of has his way with the company, doesn't he?
He still fights. You know, even if he loses this one, there's still the trilogy match with Nate at whatever weight they choose.
That's like the Joker in the back pocket, and no matter what happens, he can always go, I'll do the trilogy now.
You could see, I could see him in there with someone like Tony Ferguson still.
Yeah.
You know, this fight's there for him if he still wants to fight. The difference is if McGregor loses, the heavy hitter weight doesn't transfer to Dustin Poirier's name. It just stays with McGregor and diminishes. You know, that's one of the reasons why it'd be good for McGregor to win, because it does kind of carry the sport with him, and Poirier doesn't have that same kind of hitting power, both publicly or competitively.
Yeah. Cool. I think. I hope Conor comes through.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah.
Then? Your prediction is I hope Conor comes through.
My prediction is I'm going to throw some hope at this
and see what anticlimax for you guys listening at home. Well, I guess my conclusion after all of this 40-minute conversation is I hope he wins.
Yeah, well, they pick on the opposite of whatever I say anyway, so it looks like Dustin's going to get some money put on him, which is very smart, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's the smarter money, but we all get wrapped up in McGregor hype. You know, it's this star power, but you know, even if he was on a team, he'd be star player.
Yeah, like it's not like fanboy hype though. It's like I like him as a I like him as a fighter. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
it's not fanboy hype.
I suppose it's the same shit.
It's not fanboy hype. I just really hope he wins.
I just have.
Because Sunday, I
just have his poster on my wall and shit. But I'm not a fanboy.
No,
but I just like he's done stuff for this sport that we could never imagine of.
Yeah,
you know.
For sure.
Yeah.